Well, hello, I'm on the tripod. This is about the best angle I can get at this point. I will be able to zoom in on the meter, but I think we can see it move. Now this is my, I have two tube testers currently. I'm in the market for another one that I've got my eye on. This is a Sencor TC28, which does mostly modern tubes. So out of all the 5 tubes in this set, I can only check 2. The rest of them are too old. But I do have a Heath kit that I think will work for the other ones. But we'll start here with a 6A7, and I know you're not going to be able to see any close-ups of this while I'm actually setting things up. I'll zoom in when I do the meter. 6A7, I reset my pins, okay. 6-volt filament, obviously. C is the load, and that would be set to F. D is 5. Socket number 7. No, not quite. That's a miniature tube. Different tube. 6A7. That little socket by my finger is where it's telling me to put that. Ain't gonna work. This is a 7-pin tube, which could actually no. Nope. That's a no-go on that one too. Cannot check that one on this tester. There must be a miniature tube with the same designation, interestingly. Alright, the other one is a metal tube, a 6Q7, which I did look, it's listed, but I'm thinking a metal tube probably can be checked in here. Now the original one that was in the radio too, by the way, would have been a glass tube. Because the base of this tube, where this was plugged in, I can't show you at this second, had a metal clip on it for one of the shields that would have gone over the glass tube, like is over that other tube that's in there. But being a metal tube, it's shielded naturally. HIJ, although I wouldn't mind finding an original, but then I'd have to locate a metal shield that would fit it. Q, 6Q7, first off, socket number 1, let's make sure, yeah. This one is the only one I'm going to be able to check in this tester, and whether or not my Heath kit's going to do the other ones will remain to be seen, although I am pretty sure it can. It does a lot of the older tubes. Neither one of these are mutual conductance. The other one is the Heath kit, it just does emissions. This does emissions, but it also checks for grid leakage, which is an additional test, and it also does life test, which is kind of neat. So this is a pretty good one for newer tubes, obviously. But you can only do the newer tubes. So I had zeroed this, but let me zero it again now that we have it in the tester. And every time I use it, I have to review how to do it. We check for shorts first. It's on the short setting here. I'm going to read through it while I'm doing it. Rotate the D switch to all positions and observe the short indicator. The unit will indicate shorts on both electrodes if the tube is shorted. Disregard any faint flashes. Tubes marked with an asterisk in the setup chart will show a normal short or leakage. This is because the filament under test is picked up by another pin. Yeah, that was thunder and lightning out there. My antenna, by the way, is on the ground. It's on a pulley system, and I drop it. I knew this rain was coming. And then the feed line is actually grounded to an outdoor grounding rod. course, that doesn't protect my electrical, but 6Q, where'd we go? I should have kept my finger in that 6Q thing. I gotta see if this has an asterisk. I don't believe it did. No asterisk. And there's three sections to this tube, 3, 6Q, 7. So I'm on short. 5 is the normal setup. The short indicator is nothing more than the light indicator here, which may not show up too well. Let me dim it. And that's the power light. Where is my short light on this? Man, I haven't used this in a while. Oh, it's a gauge. Yeah, never mind. The Heathkit one lights a little neon bulb. This one swings the gauge. Which actually you're going to need the light back on for that, aren't you? If I have a short, this bottom one, it says good green and bad red on the bottom. It's going to go to bad. See that little pop? But that's just a little pop. It didn't stay. No shorts. Back to 5. Back to 5. Okay, check shorts. We did that. We don't have an asterisk. Rotate the function switch to emissions and return the D setup switch to the position in the setup chart and read the scale on the meter if the tube has a good emission. Make the life test. Rotating to emissions. We're going to be watching here. That's not good. Zero for emissions. Interesting. Let me double check my settings. Six Q7. 6 F. Oh, 10. 10. That's better. It's up in the green. I'm standing up to see, you can see it. You can see it, it's up in the green. Now the life check is this. Life test puts it under kind of a load, and it initially, I don't even know if this works in this because I've never had it do anything, but hypothetically, if I hold this over and the needle drops slowly, then it's under load and it has a poor long-term prognosis, but it's not budging. The needle's not, well, actually the needle is slightly quivering down a little, so maybe that is doing something. But we're in the good. Okay, then the next is the grid leak, and this is one that's a little unique to this. Tester. Check leakage first. Retain proper setup for the emissions. Rotate the function switch to grid leakage. Grid leakage. Now on this meter, the bottom one is the grid leakage. So we have, I'm trying to find a pointer. So the top one, you got the red is bad and green is good. That was emissions. The one below it, the red is bad, the green is good. So we are actually in the good for grid leakage. If the meter reads in the green, the leakage in the tube is acceptable. If the meter reads questionable, the tube will probably function but should be replaced to prevent trouble in the future. Remember to take the leakage test on dual diodes such as a 6AL5 because any unbalance in the tube can cause a critical horizontal AFC or burst phase detector circuit to malfunction. Yeah, whatever that is. So that one is good for test 1. There's 3 sections in this tube, so we're going to go back to shorts. This goes to G. This goes to 5. Okay, we're checking for shorts. We're watching the needle jump. Just a little jump is fine. Little jump is fine. Back to 5. Okay. Emissions first. Top one is green. We're good. Life test, holding it over. Do not see the needle moving. Grid leakage. That's very good because we dropped farther into the green. So it's that green one down below. We're good there. Last one. Back to shorts. 6G, same one. This simply goes to 5. It's the only difference there. So we already did shorts for that actually, because the only setting that changed was the shorts one. Emission. We're in the good, and they're both coming up about. They're all 3 sections came up right about the same spot on emissions. Grid leakage, and we are in the good. So that tube is good, and that is the only tube that I can check from this radio on this tester. It's nice and warm, so I know it was working. So that is a good tube, and of course now I'm not zeroed, but the 0 really counts when the tube is in there, I believe. Actually, it's got to be on the short. But I'm putting this one away anyway, and I'll be back with the little Heath kit. Okay, that is the Heath kit. It's the Heath kit TA1, TC1 rather. Straightforward emissions tester. Not the greatest, but it works. And I peeked ahead. It's not, this next tube is not in the roll chart. I didn't want to waste your time me scrolling through a roll chart looking. I find that a lot of them are on this extra tube data chart. Test data for seldom used tubes. They're usually the older ones. 6A7 is on the chart, okay? So it's plugged in, it's warming up. This is the line set right here, which I have zeroed in the middle, but at the moment I'm going to plug this tube in first and set the line. What is that, a 7 tube? 7 tubes, yeah. 7 pin tube. I think it's there, I think. Which are the thicker ones? The two toward me. Are they not? Is there a chance these... Yeah. The one pin might be bent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. 6 pins. Yeah. Guess what? Can't check this tube and this one either. Even though it's in the seldom used chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6. Oh, that's 7. Looks too darn big. Maybe it's not. Aha! Grid cap. And the one thing I did check is the filament is on 6.3. Always make sure you don't have your filament voltage on like 50 or something when you're plugging in a 6-volt tube. So I'm going to set the line, which for whatever reason it always goes full to the left. I think this rheostat's off a little, but the line test is on 0. 6A7. Type 2, 6.3 volts. Plate is 30. This is a 2-part tube. This first half is 30. Our switches, we're going to go D to the top, E to the top, F to the bottom, G to the bottom. Is the tubelet? Yes. I'm sorry, I have to review the manual every time. I don't know, it's a funny thing though. I mean, I find sometimes if I'm doing a lot of tubes it gets very tedious to do this. But I'll watch Jim Lindenus check tubes all day on his videos. I think, I don't know. It's weird though. I don't mind watching people check tubes, interestingly enough. I always have to review how this thing works every time, because each tube tester is a little bit different. Power connected, move roll chart, blah blah blah. I did that. Use the filament, did that. Plate control, did that. Set lever switches top bottom, did that. Check the tube pi short by moving the lever down, shown in light type through the two positions, returning to the position at the top. Flashing during the switching is not. Flashing during switching indicates no defect. In other words, it will stay on. This is a short checker right here. It's a neon bulb. What they're talking about is these switches here. We refer to the chart. Now we're going to see this. Maybe. Alright, let me get my finger on it. You'll see capital and lowercase. The lowercase ones you move, it's in capital, you don't move it. So we're going to move all the ones that are lowercase through their two positions and see if this thing stays on. 6A7, D, no flashing. E, no flashing. F, we got a little flash. At least we verified the bulb's working. And G, we don't move, it's capitalized. Alright. Next, I happen to know, you just pull down this lever to check it now. This does emissions, and it's straightforward emissions, that's all it does. There's no grid leakage, there's no life test. It's in the good, it's about 62 to 63. It's in the good. Section 2. Move these to the middle. Our plate current is 38 voltage rather. To the top, B, C, and K. B, C, K. To the bottom, F and G. Same two as before. For the short check test, they all get moved except for G, same as the other one. And actually, I probably already did this. Same one flashed. Okay. Here we go. Test. About the same. Just above 60, maybe 62, 63. Slowly climbing. If I heated this longer, it might climb up a bit higher, but at least we're in the green. That tube is good. So there we have one out of the other four. That's 2 down, 3 to go, and I'm trying to put these back in the radio as I go. Just to put them back so they're not out where they could potentially be broken. Next up we have the 6D6. I'm not even gonna look in the roll chart. I'm gonna look in here first. BCD6, 6D6. This is a 1-section tube. It's a type number 3. Let's put all these back to the middle. 6.3 tube filament. Plate voltage is 27. 67. BCDK, go to the top. BCDK. I lost track where I was. 66. E and F, go to the bottom. Okay. Another 7-pin, which now I know is this socket. For some reason that socket looks big to me. Or is it? No, it's a 6-pin. It goes here. It goes there. This is not the original grid cap, I don't think. I think it had been replaced. It's kind of small. It does go on there though. So all the settings should be correct. I'm just going to check my line, and again, check the line voltage with the tube in it, because that can affect it. You want to be zeroed on the line. Make sure I have this all right. $67, right? No, 66. Short check, we do all of them except F. B, C, D, E, K. Nothing. Here we go. Ooh, bad. And this is only a 1-section tube. This is a Philco tube. It's probably older. No, actually that last one was a Philco tube. I take that back. I'm holding this down a minute because sometimes, and I gotta look and see how well you can see that. I do apologize. It's hard for me to go back and forth, but here we go. See that down in the red? I'm holding it a minute because sometimes when you heat the tubes up they will eventually come up. Not so much in tubes as much as TV tubes, CRTs. I do have believe it or not, I have a couple TVs that I someday want to restore, and I have a CRT checker, and I've tested them. And I learned from B. Anderson TV, who is the best TV guy on the internet as far as I'm concerned. Knows a lot more than me. He has said many times, if you leave a CRT cooking on the tester, it will come up, and they do, because they've been sitting for years and years and years with no emissions, many times 30, 40 years untouched, unused, and it takes them a while to really get those old electrons moving. But that's not going to happen today on this. That tube is bad, so I'm going to replace that tube in this set, and I will order the tubes. I have a couple tube vendors I use. I used to use Gino, who unfortunately passed away. He was a guy that Joe R. Nunn used, and I also learned of him from John, and got my tubes from him. There are a number of other good ones out there. Can't think of them off the top of my head. I have them bookmarked, and I will replace all these tubes. This is a 41. A 41. This one's going to be different, that's for sure. Let's hope I can test it. 42. 41. Last one on the page. Okay. 41 tube. It's a type 3. It's a 6.3 filament. 32 for the plate voltage. Center these. B. This is top. B, C, D, and bottom E, and F. For the short check, we do them all except F. We have a 6-pin tube, same one we were in. Give that a minute to set, make sure my line is zeroed. See, now that one I did have to adjust it a little to get that to 0. Short check. I'm still zoomed in, aren't I? See, this is what I do, I forget. Actually, you can see the short light pretty good right there. D, nope. E, nope. No shorts. Here we go, emissions on the 41 tube. Oh, another bad one. I do have a box full of tubes. A lot of them are miniature tubes, although I do have a few of these bigger ones. I doubt that I have either of these two that are bad, but I will check my stock of what limited stock I have before I order new ones. Now normally, and I may power it up with these tubes. You know, there's no reason to believe this radio would absolutely not work with these tubes with low emissions. It just wouldn't work as well as it could. But this is going to be a gift for my daughter, so and even if I was going to keep it, I would I'd replace these. This one is slowly coming up. I don't know how well you can see it in the camera. We started out at about 36 on there. We're now at 40. Now it's still climbing. 41. We're actually getting close to the yellow. The longer I hold this down, putting current through it, it's climbing a little by little. I'd still replace this, and will replace it, because I want this radio to be working well. And I won't get rid of these tubes because, you know, I'll mark that they were bad. I mean, they're not bad in that they have open filaments or they're shorting. They just have bad emissions. So potentially, if I'm working on something in the future and I just need to pop one of these in to see if something works, they're okay for that. Not that you would leave them in it long term. Now, I talked a little bit about my tube testers. These are the only two I have. I have this Heathkit and I have a Sencor. I am in the market again for a Hickok. I had a Hickok 800 at one time, and it was a very good tube tester. It was in really good condition, worked well, but I sold it to raise money because those things, it seems like the prices on them have gone up more and more every year. I paid a fair amount for it, but I made over $100 on it when I sold it in profit, and I needed the money for a radio I was getting, so I figured I could live without the tube tester, and I wanted the radio. So the tube tester went, and then I got these cheaper ones. I am in the market again for another Hickok mutual conductance one. Out of the two of these, I'd say the Sencor is probably better than this one, but as you see, you can't check the old tubes on the Sencor. Alright, that has slowly climbed in the yellow. It's slightly better. I don't think it's going to get a lot better. We're going to call it bad. I'm going to get a replacement for it. The last tube in the lineup will be this rectifier tube. And unless this was a recent replacement, probably of all the tubes in this radio, this might have the biggest chance of being bad just because it uses, you know, it's the rectifier tube. A lot of juice goes through it. It is a National Union Electron tube. Let me zoom back out. I keep forgetting I'm zoomed in on that pin. So this is a 4-pin tube. We have a 4-pin socket. This is an 80 rectifier, which is fairly common. It is an older tube though. $80. It's in here. Okay, the filament on this is 5 volts. Seems like all rectifier tubes are 5 volts, or a lot of them anyway. The plate current is 55. We'll zero these. C goes down, D goes up, and that is it. There is 2 sections in this tube. Oh no, I did that wrong. Make sure I'm on the right line. B goes up, D goes down. That dropped my line. Zero the line test. Type 3, I did get that. Yeah, type 3. We're watching the short bulb first, right there. I think it's bright enough that if it actually shorted you would see it. If it doesn't, I'll zoom in. Nope. And I think I only flipped the 1. Yep, D, you don't move. That's it. Alright, here we go. Well, it's questionable. It jumped a little and then settled. Didn't really move. Being a rectifier tube, we're simply using this to turn the AC to DC. This will probably work in the set with no problem. It's not being used to actually pass any radio signals through, like the other two will be or could be, depending on what they are on the circuit. That ain't gonna move much. Let's do the second one. What is the difference? The only difference are these. Oh no. Yeah, 55 plate current. C down, D up. That is the only difference. That interestingly changed my line voltage, which I'm dropping back. Uh-oh, I got a short. I bet I did that wrong. 80 rectifier. Type 3. 5 volts. 55 plate current. Plate voltage. I keep saying current. C is top. I think I reversed those. D is bottom. I had them reversed. I had the D at the top, which is the one you're not supposed to move. Hopefully it didn't damage anything, because that short light was on. Now let's zero this. And we move C. No short. Here's the test. Almost green. So again, this tube will work. It'll probably have a shorter lifespan, not work as well as it could. Being a rectifier tube, I'd be inclined to say I could use it. I definitely won't get rid of it. I will try to locate a new old stock one for this radio since I'm giving it to my daughter, and I'll just hang on to this one. 80 rectifiers are pretty common. I might even have one, although I'm not sure. So that's the end of that tube testing for the Emerson AC-149. We have 2 bad ones, one questionable, which is the rectifier, which I will replace anyway because I'm giving this away. And then that metal tube that did test good, the 6Q7 I think it was. Actually, let me swing over and show you what I'm talking about, as long as I got the camera rolling. This tube here, actually let me zoom in. I have this on a tripod, so I'm trying to manipulate the camera and the tripod at the same time. You see this clamp and these do not have it. These are not shielded. This is shielded. This is the one that came with the shield. The shield is grounded to that clip. This has the same metal clip. So I know this is not the original metal tube. There was a glass tube in here originally that would have had another one of these cool shields on it there over the glass one. I would like to locate one of these just to make it original, but I'd have to also find the shield, the metal shield like this, so I might get lucky and find one on eBay. If not, the metal tube will work just fine because it is naturally shielded. It's a metal tube. So that'll be that. If I can locate a glass tube and a shield, I'll get it. And I'll get those two tubes and this one. And next up will be, we're going to start cleaning, and I'm going to order up the capacitors and start checking. Actually, before I order anything, I will do the next video on checking all my continuities in my transformers, the two transformers, and also there's a couple coils underneath which will also check for continuity. So this is Tom with part 2 of just the tube teching to see where we're at. 73.